HTML element. An HTML element is made up of components, and these components are liable for making web pages and characterizing content on that web pages, right? What exactly is an element? You can call H1. H1 is an element. Yes, your H1 is an element. Your H2 is also an element. Your paragraph is an element. Your body tag is an element. You understand? Everything that is inside the greater than and the less than sign are called elements. You understand? So back to our editor. Now, all this H1 here, this H1, H1, H2, H3, H4, H5, H6, they are all called elements. Okay? So, having known that, we move to the next thing, which is the nested elements. And what are nested elements? Nested elements are HTML components that, or rather I will say, nested elements are elements that are contained inside another element, or element that is inside another element. Just as if you're having two cups and you have one big cup and a small cup. You now put the small cup inside the big cup. That is how nested elements is. You have an element and you have another element inside that element. You understand? And now let's take an example of a nested element. We'll go to our text editor. Right? Okay. Now okay, let's just say the H1, all the H1s here, all the H1 and the P tag are all nested inside the body tag. Right? They are all what? Nested inside the body tag. Okay? So the H1 tag and the P tag, the H1 to H6 tag and the P tag are all nested, or are all inside the body tag, which makes them a nested element, a nested HTML element. Okay, so back again, we have the next one, we have attributes. You have HTML attributes. And what I have HTML attributes? HTML attribute provides additional information about HTML elements. If you want to get an additional information about HTML elements, you use an attribute. You understand? So we have different types of attributes. We have the lang attribute, which gives an which declares the language. You understand? Which declares the language of the document. Let's go back to our text editor. Now, normally the HTML here is supposed to have an attribute, which is the lang attribute, which is the language attribute, right? And it is written here. You just you bring your mouse here, put it inside, then you make a space and you write lang, right? Once you just write lang, you hit enter. It will automatically bring this out, and you write EN, which is English, right? US. Okay? US. You can put any language. You can put IN. I think IN is for India, right? IN, right? You have India. Okay? But for the purpose of this now, we will use English and US, which is EN for English, then US. Okay, so this is the attribute for this particular element. This is the attribute for this particular element. And our title our title can also have, we have a title attribute. Okay, we have a what? We have a title attribute. So, for example, let's say this p tag here, we want it to have an attribute of let's say what should I use now? About you dev up. Let's say you have a title, right, equal to, you hit, okay, sorry, then you now write about you dev hub. Okay, so let's go to our browser and run this. It won't show anything. If you notice, you don't have any changes. It doesn't change anything. Okay, so the title, as we said before we start, right? The title, the attribute provides additional information about HTML elements. Okay, so let me just wipe this out since it doesn't do anything. Control S. So, and we have the href attribute. The href attribute are used for links. Okay, let's say we have in this our text here now, we want to add a link, and the element for adding a link is called the anchor tag. For you to have a link, you just say, okay, let's say I want to make this a link now, right? I want to make it a link. I'll put this sentence, this lorem ipsum dolor, I'll put it inside an anchor tag, and which will now look like this. Okay. Close. So just delete this and come and write it here at the back. Okay, now we have our anchor tag here. So let's go to the browser. Sorry. Refresh. Let's run it again. Debug anyway. Yes. Cancel. This should reload. Why is it not reloading? Okay, let me just copy and paste. Let me see if Ctrl S, if it is working. So why is that not working? Okay, so I don't know why that is not working. I think it's from my system. I think my system is kind of misbehaving. Okay, I think my system is kind of misbehaving. So what I'm trying to explain here is the href attributes. They are used for link. As the time in the time being, we will use the a tag and show you what the href attribute does. Okay, so the next thing now are